Okay, so the corporations get a tax break and the rich do. And in return, they fund the politicians who do that. And they give those politicians enough money so that they can run glitzy ads and hire lots of public relations people to make sure you don't understand what deficits and national debt actually mean. So here we go. When the government borrows, who do you think it borrows from? Has a government agent recently visited your home and asked you to lend to the government? Of course not. You have no idea about that because that doesn't happen to you. But if you're a big bank and you're a big corporation, you deal with the government and buy bonds, i.e. lend them money all the time. It's a normal part of big corporation activity. It's even a normal part of rich people's portfolio at their stockbroker, buying and selling government bonds. So here's the point. The corporations don't have to pay taxes, and the rich don't have to pay taxes because the politicians arrange it for them. Then, of course, the government doesn't have those taxes. So what does the government do? Borrow, because it's not raising taxes from corporations and the rich. But from whom does it borrow? Here we go. Corporations and the rich. They're the major lenders to the government. What they lend to the government is what the government did not tax from them. If the government had taxed that money from them, the government wouldn't need to borrow. And if the government didn't need to borrow, we wouldn't have deficits and we wouldn't have a national debt. So when you hear about deficits and debt, here's the key point. It's a sign that politicians have caved in to corporations and the rich. And we know how they do it. First of all, the tax laws are written to favor them. Then there are trillions, we've done the research, of assets held by corporations and the rich in places called, get it, tax havens. You know why they're called tax havens? And they include places like Caribbean islands or the state of North Dakota or all kinds. Or maybe it's South Dakota, one of them. There are all kinds of tax havens where you can go and hide your money and not pay taxes. That's the game, friends. The government says to corporations and the rich, you don't have to pay. Instead, you can lend the money to us. And of course, for corporations and the rich, this is a no-brainer. Rather than have your money taken as a tax, like we all do in our weekly check, instead of being taxed, you give that same amount of money to the government, same government, but it's a loan, and the government pays it back plus interest. And where will the government get the money to pay back the lenders plus interest? Well, from you and me, because we can't play that game. We don't have the money to lend the government. It is a scam and a ripoff, and it always has been. It is one of the greatest gifts modern capitalist governments give to their corporations and the rich. And if you haven't understood it, you now understand why you haven't understood it, why it hasn't been made clear. Don't get lost in the details. That's the core reality. Politicians can no longer push more taxes on the mass of people. There would be more of a tax revolt. We've already seen it. And the corporations and the rich tell the politicians, you dare tax me, I'll give more money to your opponent, and you will be out of here and replaced by a politician who will recognize how he or she got into office and never do that again. That's the game. And so the politicians borrow from the corporations and the rich, to whom they give, in effect, tax exemptions.
姐妹们总烦恼脸上细纹干燥与暗沉，现在起跟我一起放心交给 KS Royal Face 皇家颜值逆时奇迹系列。KS Royal Face 皇家颜值逆时奇迹系列，它添加5种 EGF， 专门防止肌肤老化，强化皮肤修复，增加肌肤弹性水嫩，轻松抚平皱纹，换回青春自信。KS Royal Face 皇家颜值逆时奇迹，活肤露、全效精华、精华霜，即刻启动冻龄密码。